Yo, a couple years ago, it was a long time ago, around 2011, I did what they call it, this podcast back in the day. And it was called the 2020 Economy. And like, I thought about uploading it a couple times. So this is about 9 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Way back in the day, from 2020. It's 2025 now. And the things I said in that podcast was how easy it was for me to see at the time that a single income household, the kind of household that I grew up in, I think, my stepfather was a great man. He loved my mom to death, and he was a real man. Like he didn't look at my mom as if she needed to work. And we were like hood rich, I guess you'll call it, like in my mind, comparing and contrasting to other kids. I lived in a terrible place growing up my whole life, but we had exceptional experiences as kids in a poor area. You know what I'm saying? Like, his one income was enough to keep us housed, fed. We went for Christmas vacations. He spent hundreds of dollars for new school clothes for us every year. We went to summer camps. We went on an annual family vacation to many great places I haven't been able to take my children to, which is fucking mind-blowing. Because I always grew up wanting to replicate those experiences because I knew how they made me feel as a young man. I never, even though we were whatever we were financially, like, we were poor, but I never knew it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I never felt like that. Like, there were moments, of course, where, like, great struggles, but at the time, a lot of it went over my head, you know what I'm saying? But life is what it is, like, I like, think I'm in like first and second grade, the lights get cut off or the water gets cut off, and it always got took care of and stuff like that. But those were like very, very temporary things that didn't really bother me at all. On the whole, we had everything, you know what I'm saying? And we went out to eat every week as a family, like as an outing. Like, we could do those types of things, things that I think if you're above water right now, you take for granted. Like, it's just normal, and I used to really, as I got older and started to realize things, I really had like these moments where I criticized my mother and my stepfather heavily, and my actual father heavily, And life has a way of teaching you are not greater than your parents. There's a lot of times where I was way overachieving, and lots of times where even when I was overachieving, I end up in a place where I'm underachieving, and it's like an ebb and flow. Like, I'm stuck in that middle zone where I haven't been able to creep away from, being just an emergency away from fucking total disaster. You know what I'm saying? So the 2020 economy is like where a single income household would never be possible anymore. At least where I'm at, like, when I think of all the affordable places to live in the country, it's so crazy how, like, yeah, you can go live there if you have a pile of money to sustain yourself, and maybe do something that pays the bills in that area, where if your costs are really low and you can maintain some type of something. But you need a nest egg. There's no way to just go to some area where everything's magically affordable and then all of a sudden, you there's no employment, there's like lack of a good economy there for people to just flock there in mass too. Like, say people need to escape these expensive places that are getting more expensive and can't sustain even two-income households, which is crazy. You need to have an exceptional income to live in certain parts of the country, and I feel like I'm economically locked into one of them now. It's the great mistake that I made pre-COVID. Because again, at the time when I made that podcast, I couldn't see COVID coming, but I did clearly see the scenario. I didn't know what the catalyst would be, but I saw the scenario very clearly. And I've wanted to upload it, but yeah, this was me in 2011. And I'm like, nah, I re-listened to it back, and I'm like, nah. This is not really. I don't know for what reason, but it's just it's not necessary. I know I made that observation then, and it's been spot the fuck on. But being here in real time now, it's so surreal, man. I knew it then, and I had a certain anxiety about how I need to step out of whatever you call income and step into a scenario where I owned a business that could probably get ahead of that. Because as I was in Florida at the time, and I used to, I like to study shit, so I would go out midday a lot, and I would see how much traffic there was, and I'm like, yo, why are there so many people just sliding around everywhere in the middle of the day? Shouldn't they be at work? Well, why aren't they at work? Well, a lot of them are wives and people who work at night, but for the most part, wives, that are living comfortably because their husbands are contractors, subcontractors, small business owners, or business owners, and they can afford the lifestyle of, okay, mom does whatever she does all day. She's just getting prissy all day, chilling, going out, this and that. And the traffic makeup at the time, clear observation, it's not a lot of work vehicles. It's a lot of casual people moving around, and in an abnormal way, and I made that mental click at the time. I've been doing a lot of work. So you know what? I need to switch it up and become an employer instead of an employee, and that ultimately ended up being a great decision. But moving forward, man, COVID just wrecked so much. And the long-term impact of COVID is being realized in real time and largely ignored by people who are above it. And, and God bless them for being, because shit is real, bro. You can just see how poor people are now, or how money is not in the economy anymore. It's not floating around. The soccer moms ain't moving around no more. You know what I'm saying? They're stuck at home. Car insurance is off the hook. That second car note is killing people. A lot of people with pre-pandemic mortgages they have the room, because, say, for example, a lot of smart people with money think you should rent. I've heard that a lot, and I'm like, yeah, you paying the fucking price for that stupidity, because if you didn't have the big pile of money that allowed you to think you could just float around and rent, boy, you're fucked, because the rent is fucking crazy where I'm at. And it's just all different now. You see everything just in total shambles. You see stores are closing down everywhere, shopping centers emptying out, closed stores, long time chains going bankrupt. That happens periodically, but the pace of it, to see it in real time, the quality of everything's going down, how expensive everything is. Every businesses are getting squeezed out of doing business because the margins are too slim, because there's not enough money floating around. Everybody's putting their money towards just necessities, and they can't go and splurge once in a while. Last time I looked, which was about 10 years ago, shockingly, at how much it costs for a family to go to Disney World, just say to the resort. Now, this is something my stepfather did for us. We drove all the way from up north, rented the whip, got the AAA mat, rode all the way down to Florida, went to Disney World for about a week. And it was the, as a kid, like that was the dopest shit to ever happen, you see a new place and you see a lot along the way, and it's just an experience for a young child. Like, man, who wouldn't want to do that? But you think about it, like, sure, if you got a little money, you can go to Disney World, but I'm talking about going out of state to the motherfucking Disney resort and all that. That's what we did. You know what I'm saying? And that was affordable for my stepfather on a single home income, and but the last time I checked, which was a few years before the pandemic, because at the time everything seemed so good, man. Like, Trump is president, the economy's bouncing back, I'm a business owner, I'm feeling good, I got expendable income, and I goes to look at the fucking Disney World rate. And fuck me, man, for like a week, that shit was like fucking 12 grand just for the resort. It's like 16 G's altogether. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money, man. Like, I had, at the time, only 3 children, so it was me, my wife, and my 3 kids with me, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, 15 G's, bro, 16 G's, that don't really account for like travel costs and all that. This is just the rate. And I was like, damn, like, that's a lot, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, we don't have to go to the resort, we could slide out and go to the telly or whatever, and just get a regular telly and go every day to Disney World. And that's what's up, because it just felt weird, like, to see how expensive it is. And I didn't look today. I have no reason to, because I can't afford that shit if I was dreaming about it. Even I was thinking, like, damn, how much would it cost now? I got 1, 2, 3, 4 with me, and me and my wife, to just go to the resort, because I think that's a good bar, because I remember that number over time. So about 10 years ago, it was about 14, 15, 16 G's, to do that all in my brain, you know what I mean? But just for the 6 days, 7 days, 6 nights on the Disney resort itself, it was fucking outrageous. And I'm like, yo. And the reason this has sparked me, because one of the moms that goes with my kids to school, their kids go to school. At the time, she was like, we talked to her here and there, and she was like, oh, we're going to Disney World. And like, da-da-da. And I know she got a squad. So I'm like, oh, okay, damn, let me look into that. I'm like, fuck. That shit was so expensive. And at the time I could have winged it, but I thought better of it. Like, there's no way, I'm not spending that much on that. I don't give a fuck. So we just went to Six Flags instead, But the 2020 economy is so real, bro. This shit is out of control. And I think you can feel it now. And it's just so real, and everybody's realizing it. And, the people who are above it or ahead of the game, God bless you, man. Because, like, you're either going to ignore it, or once you're in it, like, you can't not be in it. It's a real fucking struggle. Like, you gotta come ahead, and the economy's so bad. It's just not like the greatest time to really crank up something new. What the fuck you gonna do otherwise? Go get a job? Like, whose fucking job? Like, yo, I'm sorry to say this. Like, one dude that's doing it great, like, doing it big for real, God bless him, Craig, in that fucking Mountain Boy heaven, looks beautiful, bro. Like, I wish I would have made this decision too. Just go to the middle of fucking nowhere, buy something that's outrageously cheap, and build that motherfucking shit up. Because, I mean, 400,000 or 500,000 as the average median home price where I live, man. It's a little cheaper in some places, but you're getting what you pay for, and you'd be shocked at how expensive even the ghetto is. I'm like, who the fuck? My kids can't live through that. I live through that. Like, I'm not doing that to them. I'd rather go move to the fucking woods. Except there's nothing out there in the woods. So if I can't go with a pal, there's no point in even trying that. You know what I mean? You'll be end up back where you started. And it's just wild, man. It's just wild, man. You're either gonna I don't know, man. It feels like nothing's gonna solve this problem other than a gigantic revolution. That's a deep word, and Malcolm would say, "Don't talk that shit because you ain't ready to die about that, because that's what the fuck that means." And I was thinking deeply about this. That's kind of what sparked this whole thing. Right after making that podcast, I spoke to my wife because I could see how things were going. I think it was right before, to be fair. And I said, "You know what, babe?" I said, "I have to make a deep choice because I don't even know the word to say, but I have a lot of empathy in me. You could see things that are going wrong and already just ultimately wrong with everything going on, right? Like, and I want to, like, if you one of them motherfuckers that got so much money that this conversation is dead to you, like, move the fuck on, bro. Like, don't even make a comment because this is stupid, right? If you above it and you can't see it, or you don't feel like you need to engage in the idea or process of the subject matter here, like, God bless you. I'm happy for you, but don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's just stupid. But I had this real deep conversation with her because I'm a deep thinker. I'm very empathetic, and I get tired of seeing people suffering, bro, like on a real level. And I'm not even talking about myself or my kids or other people. I'm talking about, like, just when I'm out, I be seeing shit, and it's just like, it's, it like, seeing people suffer for a person like me with the mindset and the chemical mental makeup that I have, whatever you want to call it, seeing people suffer is suffering. You see what I'm saying? And before I got to a point where I was on the squeeze, this shit used to fucking make me irate on a regular, just bearing witness to it. And then so it got me thinking about who am I? Like, am I just a person that's like, oh well, fuck it? You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not. Like, it's impossible for me to be that way. Like, again, deeply empathetic to everything going on around me, and I can't undo that about myself. It's just who I am. It's who I've always been. I've been that way since a little kid, since, like, walking through Philly, we would go into the gallery or something and, like, seeing people laid out on the ground, just homeless, laying on steam vents and shit. And that shit used to just fuck with my head as a little kid because it broke my mind. Like, wow, like, what's going on with you? Like, you don't have nowhere to go? Like, you can't go home? And I used to ask my parents this, and it's so wild to see my kids, like, mentally being made up the same way. Like, my Nadia, she's just like that. Like, she's fucking so deeply empathetic. If she see you trip and get hurt, like, normal kids can just be like, damn, you good? And she will fucking die on the spot. Like, she's emotional at the thought of someone being upset, bullied, all this type of shit, and I can't change, like, I can't undo it. So I had this conversation with my wife because as I'm in my travels, I'm becoming overwhelmed by what I see, as I always have since being a child. And it got to me one day so much that I sat her down and I said, man, something got to change here. Like, but this is just me realizing stuff way in advance, right? And I think everybody knows this. But most people are indifferent to it, or like emotionless about it. And unfortunately, that's why shit can't get fixed, because nobody's willing. And I spoke to her, I said, what's crazy is the person who is willing, they have to give up everything. They have to give up their lives. And then I said, what would be the problem is if, like, what if someone were to think, you know what, it is something that could be done, but what if everything just goes back to the way it was and you threw your life away? And I spoke to her about it, and I said, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, I got all these kids. And I said, man, I owe it to them to be here for them and be alive, because the real is coming, right? Like, like, at the end of the day. And I said, like, I don't think anyone else is gonna do it. And I said, it's such a deep, fucked up thought process to have. Like I said, well, I have to choose. And I said, unfortunately, I'm going to choose my children because it'd be a deep tragedy for me to throw my life away. And it'd be for nothing. And that's what I think most people don't contemplate. But that's what's necessary. When you see what's going on here, nothing's going to change. It's just like, when motherfuckers had to leave England. When motherfuckers got on the boat and said, enough of this shit. Like, we need a new way of life. And the tragedy with that is that, see, 400 years in America, everything is fucking worse or just as bad as being in England. I wonder if all the people that gave their lives for that, what the fuck do they think? Was the revolution worth it? Or should we just been an extension of the crown colony? You understand what I'm saying? Like Canada, a crown colony. Because this shit is wrong on 1,000 levels. And it makes you wonder if they looked at what we've become. How many people had survivors of that conflict after they gave their lives for it? Who benefited from it? Those who became rich and wealthy off the back of it? Who knows, right? I don't want to get in the weeds of that. But it's just a deep thought. I told my wife, I said, the decision is, are you willing to die for what you're thinking about? Because if not, you're wasting everybody's time. Who is that person? And I sat there and I thought about it. And I said, well, unfortunately, because I have kids, it can't be me. Because I can see the result of many of these things are zero. Even if something changes for a while, money and power brings it back. Like the problem with this country is that the ship is so big, it can't be steered by any one person. It has to be steered by a group. Like, this is how you know something, but at some point something has to give. I saw a guy, he was talking about that stuff in the system, and he was like, well, you got to keep all the wealthy people with a lot of stuff and then let everyone else fight over everything that's left. Give them just enough, but not too much, but never really enough. And then, keep them fed though, so they don't get angry. And then I thought about what just happened here with the EBT thing because of the fucking, the shutdown. And it's like, yo, he just hit that nail on the head because motherfuckers was really about to wild out about that. You see, but people taking that evidence, that situation, and looking at it as if people are exploiting an X, Y, and Z. And that may be true to some degree. Of course it is. Like, that's like thinking politicians ain't getting over while getting a fat ass government salary. Like, come the fuck on. You mad at a poor person for trying to get over? Maybe they need a little extra money for, I don't know. The point is though, let's say that's happening to some degree. There's this mass sum of people who really do need that shit. That doesn't tell you that structurally there's a fucking fundamental problem with the way our economy and way of life works here, where there's so many fucking losers that the government is willing to give people this money while working. And it's all above board. And we're not going to address that problem like you mad people on the shit, but you're not really going to address the fundamental cause of why people are on the shit while maintaining a 40-hour work week. Or 50, or two people with 80 to 90 or 100 hours a week. That's like, fuck. There's a fundamental issue going on here. And the thing is, it's only going to get worse. You can see it. The parking lots are empty. And apart from this Black Friday sprawl that's about to happen, because, that's it. Like, the rest of this year, from what I can see, has been fucking dead. It's amazing. Like, the last time it felt like you could just come up off of hard work was 2 years into Trump's first presidency. You could just feel it, man. People were moving around. Shopping centers were lit and full. Businesses were opening, new restaurants, all this type of shit. And ever since then, man, COVID just fucked everything, man. And we're paying a long-term price for it. Everything has fundamentally changed, and it ain't going back. It's just going to keep getting worse because people that have the ability to do something about it are in denial, President Trump. And yeah, that's wild, B. That's mad wild, B.